This is the Lion Villain Report. And today, we're going to talk a little bit of Vikings today. Hutchinson is back at 100%. Right. Out there in the media, they're asking questions about, hey, get this up here a little bit. Hey, what's the next step in making sure you're all good for the season? He says, I'm 100. Rehab's over. I'm cleared. Fully cleared. Fully cleared. Fully cleared. We're going to have a 100% Hutchinson. Week 1. Now, he's got to go through training camp. I'm sure that he's got to get used to that leg a little bit, but he's got a full training camp. He's got to go in normal, fully healed. Gotta like that. You like that? It's good stuff. We're broadcasting live today. I want to thank all my peeps right here. We have our Lions Villain Squad YouTube page, which I can throw that up there. Let's throw it up. We've got the QR codes here. Let's see. Here's the YouTube page right there. I put that as a link in the comments. I'm trying to build up that YouTube page at Lions Villain Squad. Right there. And we are also broadcasting live into the Detroit Lions News Podcast. Thank you to Joe Chapp and the boys over there. Putting out good content. Doing that thing. And then we're on live on Roku, the Roku network right there. And we want to welcome the other NFC North rival fans in here because we're going to talk a little bit of Vikings today. We talked 2 weeks ago. We talked about the Bears. Last week we brought on A-Dub and we talked about the Green Bay Packers. We had Broski on the week before that talking about the Bears. I don't got any guests today. No Viking fans like me. I'm too mean. It's like they finished too good and got curb stomped by my team. The Vikings. It's like they're good against every team except the Lions. They can't do anything against the Lions because Jared Goff owns that Brian Flores defense. They did some shuffling around, but you brought in a couple older defensive linemen that they're still not going to be able to do anything against Frank the Tank and Penei Sewell and our guys out there. So that's what the Vikings did. Not scared about the Vikings at all. But let's say hello to all of our peeps in here. We got Rick C. We got Davey. We got John's in the house. We got Broski Bear in the house. And we have Tatiana in the house. Broski, I love you, man. But I this is not an open mic. I don't do open mics on here. Very, very rare that I'm going to have anybody on here outside of Johnny Gaz. And hopefully I can get some players on here soon or something like that. But I am not turning this into an open mic where people just... It ends up just being a trash talking thing on here. And I don't want to turn it into that. I mean, you got that going on in the comments right there. People will be all over you for your takes on that. But we got Aidan Hutchinson. I did my one Bear show. I did my Packers show. I may do one again on the training camp when it comes to it. As new information starts rolling in. And this is the off season too. I might even have to get into some Tigers or something here in the next couple of weeks because it's like, man, season is long. The off season anyway, when it comes to it. And it's like, man. But during the off season, I want to start doing some new things. I don't know if you guys noticed out there, but I did change the name a little bit of the Villain Squad. It's no longer just the Lions Villain Squad because I got to be able to survive during the off season. And I've always liked the Tigers anyway. I mean, I like all Detroit sports, but we had been primarily focused on just the Lions for the first 4 years that I've been doing this on a regular basis. And I changed it to the 3-1-3 villain squad because, our Tigers are starting to come back to relevancy a little bit. And I don't know how I can keep up with all that, but I'm definitely going to post information about the Tigers having one of the best starts in the history of our franchise here. So I like that. Pistons, they got bounced in the first round, but they look like an up and coming team too. So Detroit sports has been hurting for a couple of years, man. I mean, you're talking with no good sports teams, it's like the Lions are just now good, and they were never good when I was coming up. It was like you had a couple good Stafford teams with 2014, a couple playoff things, but I don't know if we ever really felt like we were going to win the Super Bowl on any team that we had other than that 14 season. I'm trying to think of another season where the hype was that good. Going from 13 to 14, I don't think so. So I think that was like the best shot that we had up until the NFC Championship a couple years ago. And so this is weird for Lion fan to be experiencing winning, and that's okay. When it comes down to it, we never had 4 winning seasons in a row. That's pretty cool. And that would be a nice notch on the this isn't the same old Lions. But yeah, broski, we're gonna plan, dude. If you've been on my show, I'll let you on my show. I'm not saying, I'm just talking about today. We're not talking about today. We'll get something planned before we go to the season again. I'm not gonna not talk the Bears. I want to go into detail, but I also want to let some things happen because we hit all the stuff last week, at least as it pertains to how Lion fan feels about it. But no, the Lions, Detroit sports on the rise. I mean, even the Red Wings to some extent. I know that they kind of fizzled out towards the end, but all of the teams have like young players, a whole crap load of players underneath the age of 25. Just players going from, rookie contract where still got a lot of guys on rookie contracts that are really, really talented. So it's a good, the Lions are in a bubble right now where they're going to be good. They're going to be hard outs. I'm not saying guaranteeing any Super Bowls or anything like that because we don't know what that feels like, but I am guaranteeing that we're going to be competitive and that it doesn't matter about coordinators or whatever. It may hold us back for a minute, but not very long. We have great players, and the players are going to be here. The players that were worried about leaving, they're not worried about leaving yet. Like Sam Laporta, he's going into his 3rd year. Jahmyr Gibbs is going into his 3rd year. Obviously, you're going to sign these guys because you look at your Madden franchise, right? And oh, man, we got to get this done within the next 2 years when you're playing Madden time. But in reality, that he still has to play this full year. He still has to play this full year. And then maybe we're going to talk about Gibbs getting extended after this season and Laporta after this season and Brian Branch after this season. And we have plenty of money to move around, I say. I call it move around, but let's look at that. Let's do the Vikings thing first, and then we'll play around with some of the money things that, the Lions are in this quote unquote cap hell, and they're not, because you can restructure deals with your best players that you're going to keeping. The only way that restructures or extensions don't work is if they're not good players. But next year, during the offseason, the Lions are going to have, Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown or Jared Goff or Taylor Decker or, they've had these players that they signed to long-term deals, Aleem McNeil, that they can restructure. You're going to keep these guys. It's not like, you're not going to keep Penei Sewell longer. Add more years to his deal and lower the cap number. Simple as that. You can get $20 million from Sewell. You can get another $20 million out of Amon-Ra St. Brown. You could get $40 million out of Goff if you wanted to move that down farther, which they probably will. It'll probably be a Goff restructure next year, and then they'll get all the money they need. It's as simple as that. It's not even a thing. These guys are all in cahoots to try to win titles, so they're going to try to keep these people here that they have that are great players that they drafted. They're going to try to keep them. They're going to try to keep as many of them as they can, and that's understandable. So, but let's talk about these Vikings. Let me look in here, and let me ask you that: how good can the Vikings be? Because there's a lot of people out there that would say that the Vikings, minus the quarterback, right? What you think about J.J. McCarthy is irrelevant, but everything else that they did, they already had a 14-3 team. They already had a really, really good defense. They added some players at all the other positions, and then obviously they're going to bet on J.J. McCarthy.
That's my quarterback.
No, not my quarterback. The Vikings quarterback. And I know that some Michigan fans that are out there, they love J.J. McCarthy winning them a national title and all that. But J.J. McCarthy is now playing for the enemy. And how good can he be? Like, the Vikings, as far as facing the other teams in that Brian Flores defense, I mean, he was messing some of the other teams up with all that. Sending 9 guys to the line and you don't know if he's going to send them all or drop 7 of them back into coverage. It's good. It's confusing to a lot of teams, but if you got a good offensive line and you just block the blitz, then you can hit wide open guys. So, and that's what Jared Goff does. He owns that Brian Flores defense. That defense is not scary to the Lions at all. Not at all. Because we have the offensive linemen that just block it. It's just block it. Block it. And then wherever you've been blitzing, then that's going to be a wide open spot for whatever wide receiver that we're wide open with, and Jared Goff will hit them. So as far as the schematically, Brian Flores has nothing on the Lions. He won't do anything against the Lions offense. They'll be able to block it because we have an awesome offensive line. But as far as the other teams go, did what they did, will that change my narrative? Because the way that it was last year, just offensively, they can't stop our offense. Jared Goff do whatever he wants to that defense. Whatever he wants. Just have some fun. Go out there. Just slinging it. But the Vikings in 2025, they made a lot of moves. So let's talk about these right here. You brought in Jonathan Allen, defensive tackle. What this means is the Vikings now have an interior disruptor that they've been seeking since Dalvin Tomlinson. They've had okay play from Harrison Phillips and Jonathan Ballard over that period, but nothing like this. Jonathan Allen is a dude, or at least he was a dude. He signed a 3-year, $60 million contract. And the risk is he suffered a torn pectoral in his final season there in Washington, costing him 9 games. First significant injury since breaking his foot, but at 30, the health histories are significant, just like the Marcus Davenport thing. You guys make fun of me for Marcus Davenport, and that's fine. That's a valid argument against, what the Lions are doing. So if you have that opinion, I'm not going to hurt you over that. I'm hoping for Zadarius Smith to come in here, but seems like they believe in their guy. So they believed in Jonathan Allen enough to pay him 3-year, $60 million contract. And it's a little bit of a risk. It is, especially on a 3-year deal with a guy. I think that they'll get a good year out of him this year. But I don't know if the Viking fans are going to like that contract for all 3 years. Javon Hargrave, now that's one that I liked. 2-year, $30 million, another $15 million. So they invested $35 million for one season into the defensive tackle. So they're serious about that. Gives them a second new interior disruptor following the acquisition of Jonathan Allen. The Vikings certainly needed help there. There are only 47 pressures from players that aligned in the interior in their defense last season that ranked 28th in the NFL. And their 7.5 sacks from those players ranked 31st. Hargrave has been durable and a long-time menace. You don't really worry about the injuries there. He's like one of those guys that just keeps going and going like the Energizer Bunny. Brian Flores, the defense might be scarier with those two guys in it. I'm not gonna lie about that. That makes that a formidable interior defensive line. But we have a good offensive line here in Detroit. But those two guys are going to wreak havoc somewhere. Might not be in any of the Detroit games, but they'll mess some people up with those two. They brought in a guard, Will Fries, headed to Minnesota. 5-year deal, $88 million. He was the best upgrade at the guard position following the Chiefs' decision to franchise tag Trey Smith. And Sam Darnold got sacked 9 times in a playoff loss last year against the Rams. They got after him. So I don't blame Kwesi for going after this offensive lineman. You got Ryan Kelly. And you don't have Sam Darnold anymore. I don't know if Sam Darnold got sacked too much because they couldn't protect him, or they got sacked too much because he held onto the ball too long and tried to be slick. So we don't know what that is, but like some of the other players, the risk of Fries is his injury history. 2024 season was cut short by injury, in the case a serious fracture to his right tibia in October that cost him the final 12 games of the season. The Vikings were not deterred by the injury from Fries, as he expected to make a full recovery. But the reality is that Fries has played only one season as a full-time starter. In 2023, he was a backup in 2021 and started 9 games in 2022. But there's enough tape of his play in those seasons to make him, that you can have optimism with Will Fries. But he doesn't have a lot of experience, and he's coming off of a hard injury. They brought in Rondale Moore. He's never really been good anywhere. They re-upped Byron Murphy Jr., 3-year, $66 million. Cornerback. They must have liked him a lot. That's 3-year, $22 million a year. The Vikings retained one of their top players at the position that could have been gutted by departures. He made his first Pro Bowl last year, had his best season. The risk is paying Murphy an average of $22 million a year. And that will, by definition, that'll limit them at the position. It'll limit them at the position, and you're not going to be able to do much else after that. They did bring in free agent cornerback Isaiah Rodgers. And that means the Vikings will be counting on third-year player Mekhi Blackman to return full recovery from a torn ACL that he had last summer in training camp. So there's some question marks on their secondary. They're hoping a lot of things work out for that secondary to work out. Isaiah Rodgers is okay. He's not. This isn't a super high-end cornerback. He's good though. They also brought back Aaron Jones, re-signing 2-year, $20 million. Again, you're talking about another player that's over the age of 30, and you don't see a lot of starting running backs. You could definitely see the wheels starting to fall off last season a little bit. You could definitely see it, but they did bring in Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason could serve as a good backup. He'll make $12 million over the 2 years of the contract. So they doubled down there because you don't want to give Aaron Jones all of those carries. He's pretty good in reserve last year for one Christian McCaffrey. So what do you think about that? What do you think about the Vikings moves during the offseason? They brought in Jeff Okudah.
You like that?
We like that. Definitely a bust of a pick here in Detroit. Never has lived up anywhere close to the cornerback. That's another body in the room. That's a flashy name that's never done anything. Ryan Kelly, leaving the Colts, 2-year, $18 million deal. The Vikings will probably have a new center after 6 seasons. Yep, great. Garrett Bradbury, first-round pick from 2019, has 1 year remaining on his contract. Is not immediately clear, which means that Bradbury might get released, or he might change positions. But Kelly is expected to take over the center position, and who knows? Is that going to be better? I don't know. It depends. Kelly, another guy, is going to return. He's going to turn 32 in May, 1 year after he missed 7 games because of neck and knee injuries. He also suffered 3 concussions earlier in his career, but the report's extensive health histories aren't unusual for players of Kelly's age, but they must be taken into account when evaluated. So, if healthy, Kelly is a better center than Bradbury, but to what extent can the Vikings count on him as a full-time player in 2025? There is no upgrade here if he's not on the field. I mean, here's the thing. The Lions have went through this too. We had a lot of injured players too. So this tells me that we're not the only team in the NFL that goes into free agency. You have to get injury type of players in free agency. You know how I know that? Is because when players don't have the injury history, they don't become free agents. The team that drafted them keeps them on their team. That's why you don't build your team through a bunch of free agents. All you Lion fans out there that are like, why don't they go spend all this money in free agency? It's because it doesn't work. You use free agency to fill some gaps here and there, but you ain't trying to build your team. You build the team through the draft if you want to be one of the top teams. You have to have talented players on rookie contracts. Now, whether you're saving money on quarterbacks, and that's the one that everybody likes to, you can't win without paying your quarterback. You can win paying your quarterback, but you have to be saving money somewhere else. Like in the Lions case, you got, Kirby Joseph and Jack Campbell and Brian Branch and rookie contracts. You got players on cheap deals. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. And now they went into the draft and they drafted these offensive linemen that are going to be interior offensive linemen. And next year, when the high-priced older guys go, they're going to be able to slip right in. And they'll have experience, and then they have the rookie deals. That's how you do it. You can't build a team through free agency. Back to more. These guys brought in a lot of guys, though. These guys are trying to rebuild their team through free agency. So they signed safety Theo Jackson to a extension, 2 years, $12.5 million. So what does this mean? No team decides starting lineups in March, but the nature of the deal suggests that Jackson's role will expand in 2025. By the way, I'm getting this information from ESPN.com, so I'm trying to make sure we're using credible sources. So credit to ESPN. That's where I'm getting this information. What that it means. He spent last 3 seasons special teams player and occasional defensive substitute behind Harrison Smith and Cameron Bryant. So here's the next man up, Theo Jackson. Harrison Smith isn't going to be here forever. This will probably be his last season, maybe one more season, maybe a couple. But the idea is you're thinking that Jackson is going to be able to have a chance to come in there and take over for one of those guys as your young player. And they're going to have that. Harrison Smith is not young. The risk is largely on Jackson's side. It definitely took away a trip to free agency market in his prime. I mean, he probably could have went to free agency, tested the market. He might have got more money than that. So I'm going to call this Theo Jackson deal. When you're talking about signing your own players, I like this deal for them. You're believing in one of your drafted players, and you like him. You like that, and you like him to take over. You're hoping that your development works right there. I like moves like that because I've always been the one that says that progression is the most dangerous thing in football. Progression is the most dangerous thing in football because you can go and sign all of those guys. They're brand new to the system. They did good. Well, he did good at the Commanders. He did good at this place, and he did good at that place. But we don't know how good he is on your team. Progression is more dangerous than that. I am more scared of players that have been in your system that are going from second to third year, third to fourth year. That's scarier because they've been in the system. They know where your cafeteria is. I love saying that. And they know the layout of the land. You're not trying to figure anything out when you get there. You can get straight in, straight focused to working on getting better at your craft. So let's jump in here. I always forget to put the sponsor out there, but the sponsor is our affiliate marketing partner over at fanatics.com. So you can use that link, save up to 25% off of your order from our affiliate marketing partner. And once you go into that, use that link, feel free to go all over the Fanatics site. You can go anywhere from that. And you would be supporting the page by doing that. Even if Broski were to go on there, it goes to the Lions page. He can click from that Lions page to the Bears page, and he can get something that the Bears, for the Bears. He could go and get some Chicago Cubs stuff. I don't know what team that you follow, but this isn't just Lions right here. If you like WWE, if you like NHL, if you like MLB, whatever your fancy is, you use that link. You can go to anywhere in the site, and it helps benefit the page. And we appreciate that. From our affiliate marketing partners, you can save up to 25% off of your order. You're welcome. Right there. We got the Villain Squad Facebook page. That's right. I don't know. Is that coming through? Did that come through? Get down there. No, just let's try it again. All right, let's try it again. Let's see if I can get this thing to pop in there. Come on, Facebook page. Let's see. We'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, let's try it again. Boom. Did that go in now? Damn. They won't let me do it. They won't let me do it again. Maybe they only let me put on one link in there. But anyway, you can scan that QR code. That right there is the Facebook page. And then the YouTube page. Did that one work? There we go. Maybe I just got to wait a little bit. So there's the YouTube page. What's up, Rare Reed? What up, Doe? All right, let's get in here and get some of these comments. Broski's in here. Oh, Broski's ready to go serious too. Dude, you have good takes, man. I usually get people on here that just try to troll, and I will give you credit for that. You came on here, you were professional. I appreciate you for being that way, Broski. Because I think that when you get good at this type of job, where you're giving opinions, like I started out trolling, just yelling at people. Oh, you're wrong. Yeah, me and you have had some exchanges on here, but what I found, Broski, was that the majority of the people don't want to see people just throwing low blows at each other all the time. It's like, it's not even funny after a while, because we've heard all the marks. We've heard all of the trash talking. Lions have never won a Super Bowl. Bears ain't won one since 1985. The Packers have had going on 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, maybe 4, but they only have 2 championships. It's like in that era with those 2 guys, you got to go all the way back. It's like it never ends, and it just gets old. And I like to talk about what happens right now, going into the season. I don't believe in voodoo. I don't believe in curses. These guys are going to go to work, and the hardest working team that has the best coaching and that has the least amount of injuries, maybe even gets a little bit lucky going into the playoffs, and you have to have some things go your way. They'll win the Super Bowl. That team will achieve their dreams. And, you know, as a fan, you just want to see it happen for your team. I don't know what it feels like to win a Super Bowl. I have no idea. I know how bad it feels to have your heart ripped out when you're one of the final teams. And I'll tell you what, being irrelevant for however many years, everyone's like, you don't, what's that like for years and years and years of being irrelevant? And it's like, you know, you just have fun watching your team, you know, and if you go, you know, 3-13-1, this thing's already over by the end of the season. You know, your team sucks halfway through. Oh, lost all those games. Oh, well, so there's no sting. But when you get into the playoffs, you know, you win a couple playoff games, the game feels like with that loss, you feel that loss. I don't feel 3-13. I don't feel that. I felt it like during the season. Oh, we freaking suck again. You feel it, but it's like a long thing. It kind of lasts just stay, but you don't feel the knife go in and turn, like, you know, losing in the NFC Championship or losing in the Super Bowl. I mean, I couldn't even imagine what that's like to be a Bills fan, to get there and just have the rug pulled. I feel like I almost know, because losing in the NFC Championship feels pretty damn bad. But when it comes down to it, the hardest working team, the team that it lines up for, see, Patrick Mahomes got proven to be human. Dude, he got murdered in that game. All interior, just beat ass in the middle. They just owned Mahomes in the middle. He couldn't get anything done. So, Rick says that Aaron Jones will likely fall off of a cliff this year. Well, you know it's coming. You know, with every running back, it happens, unless your name's Frank Gore or, Curtis Martin, the Adrian Peterson. Some of these guys are just like, they just go and go. They're like the Energizer Bunny. But I don't know if Aaron Jones is going to be there, but he's getting up there. I mean, he's getting, for running back, 31 is old. It is. Broski says that Will Fries is the same player as Ryan Bates, and Bears are paying Bates $8 million over 2 years. Fries' contract is absurd. Vikings reached for washed defensive tackles as well. God, I'm glad somebody else said that. Damn. I agree. It's best to build through the draft. However, I don't agree with sitting on $30-40 million in cap space during the season when you're making your Super Bowl run. Well, we're not sitting on $30-40 million of cap, broski. We're just not. It looks like that because over the cap does say that. It does say that when you look at only this year. The thing that I think that they are preparing for, my man, is I want you to see this. I want you to see this. And they're preparing for it. Like, people are like, why won't they go out and sign somebody? Right, broski? It's like, gosh. And you're thinking the same thing. You got all this money, right? Oh, man, you got $42 million. It's like, no, we don't. Let me get this. I'm sorry. Sometimes I can't talk and work at the same time. Okay, here we go. All right. So when we look at this, broski, and this is Lion fan too, you look at the cap space right here and you're like, oh, you got $42 million, right? But a lot of these cap numbers are going to get fluctuated. And then next year, we're at negative $51 million. Now, this money rolls over. So let's do the math here. So we are still, roughly 9 million. Like, we'll have to make up 9 million. But when you think about that, all of the guys are signed. Like, we don't have to we're not in contract years with anybody at the end of this year. So basically what we have going on this year, broski, is going to happen next year too. And we may even be able to drop a couple contracts next year, depending on how some of our young guys develop. You want that transition to be smooth right there. So, are we going for the Super Bowl run? I mean, I think that we have the roster already to do that. I do think that we're sitting on Zadarius Smith. I mean, this is something that I called at the beginning, so I'm sticking with it because it would make me look really, really good if it ends up happening. But before any of the free agency started, I predicted that the Lions would cut Zadarius Smith and that they would sign him during training camp for a lesser deal, because they didn't get rid of Zadarius Smith because, for any other reason except for the Browns don't know how to make contracts. So they had to get out of the crappy part of the Browns contract. Even if they signed him for the same amount of money, it was the back end of the Browns contract that Zadarius signed that the Lions weren't going to deal with. So he was going to get released no matter what. Had nothing to do with his play. Had everything to do with the Browns' shitty contract. So I predict that Zadarius Smith is going to sign no signing yet, but on the big Z watch for the week, I think that will be something that could get done. So I hope that was a long way over answer to your question. What up, though? Oh, I like it that Broski gives me the cool. When you get compliments from other guys, that from other teams. Rick C, I wouldn't be a dick if I did. Basically, y'all, basically all I'd be doing is football. Okay. Don't want to make stupid signings. Get Barry's in the house. What's up?
You like that?
Rainy day fund. Re-sign current player. $40 million isn't much. Yeah. So we're not sitting on this money. Like Brad Holmes had said, the bill is going to be due here soon. Let me see if I got anything else on the Vikings here. A couple 1-year contracts. I'm not going to talk about any of these guys. Who cares? Justin School. Who cares? Eric Wilson. Who cares? Taviar Thomas. Who cares? And one of those guys might be good. I'm not trying to. I'm just not going to waste any time talking about other guys. Ryan Wright signs a 1-year, $1.5 million deal. There you go. Punter. And that was it for the Vikings as far as their offseason goes. And I don't see anything on there that makes me scared. I was told that I needed to look. You need to do your research. And I don't see anything on there that makes them any scarier than they were last year. Sam Darnold was good last year, and J.J. McCarthy's coming in, and he's going to take over. And we'll have to see. Central Scrutinizer says that 60-40 Za'Darius comes back. Okay, I gotcha. Like I said, I'm excited that I called that at the beginning, and I'm like I said, I'm going to stick with it. I do think they're going to re-sign Za'Darius Smith. I think that Za'Darius Smith is playing the field. He's going out there trying to see if he can't get the some kind of very large deal somewhere, and teams want him. So I know that he's going to go visit some people. But he knows what he's got here. And we have an offer on the table out there for him. Go get your money. If not, we have a place for you here. And I do believe that they'll sign him during training camp. Probably closer to the end. We got an extra preseason game this year. So that's extra training. And I don't think that Za'Darius Smith wants to be out there in July. Especially if he's not getting the big contract that he wants. Now, if he signs with a team and they want to pay him $15 million a year or whatever Za'Darius is looking for, then he's going to have to go through the training camp. But like we said, if we got a spot for you here, Za'Darius. You were here last year. We like you. So if that other thing doesn't work out, you don't get your 15. You can come back here. We'll give you 8. Some incentives. Maybe throw a void year on the back end of that, make it so it's not so bad next year. You like that? But right now, they're still trying to sell us on Davenport. New QB is unproven. That doesn't mean that does not mean that J.J. McCarthy,
It's my quarterback,
ain't going to be good. Because here's one of those dangerous things. Remember what I was telling you about a little bit earlier with progression. Progression, right? Now, J.J. McCarthy didn't play last year. But J.J. McCarthy is not a rookie. And I know they're like, oh, he's a rookie quarterback his first year. It is an unproven thing. But the thing is, like I said at the beginning of last year, when everybody was crapping on Sam Darnold, I'm like, this guy's going to have a good season. He's going to be good. It's not a bad thing that you have your quarterback, that you have somebody that is going to play the first year ahead of McCarthy. Like, there's not an incredible success rate out there of brand new rookie quarterbacks having success right off the bat. Everyone wants to look at CJ Stroud and say, oh, that's it. Or Jaden Daniels, like, had a couple of them that had good year ones. But watch their year twos now in the second year. I mean, I remember Vince Young had a pretty good first year. I remember Robert Griffith Jr. had a pretty good first year. Rick says, head off the subject, I'd appreciate any prayers for my little nephew Floyd. He's 3 months old at the U of M neurology with a brain bleed. Well, I'll definitely send some prayers up for you, Rick. God bless you. God bless your family. In Jesus' name, cover little nephew Floyd. He's at the right spot, Lord. The U of M neurology. It's one of the best places that you could have possibly sent him. So, cover Floyd in Jesus' name. Amen. Yeah, U of M's the right place for them to be. For prayers. For technology. That's the right place. My son, Riker, who is diagnosed with a very rare gene disorder called Jared2, was researched there at the U of M hospital. And even though I'm a Buckeye fan, God bless the University of Michigan and how smart their doctors are and everything. So, like I say, it's faith, family, and then football. So we do the faith, the family, and, you know, even though Michigan's my number one rival, God bless the University of Michigan for figuring out things about my son. And now you're going to be healing Floyd in Jesus' name. God bless you, Rick.
You like that?
Good morning, Jason. Jason's got your back too. Sarah's got your back.
You like that?
Davey's got your back.
You like that?
Like that. Central screws out. McCarthy may be elite. We'll see how he handles processing defenses. Prayers up.
You like that?
Back on subject right here. We'll have to see how McCarthy does. And that's where we're I know that Sarah loves herself some JJ McCarthy. And he was ahead of, if I'm not mistaken, last year, if I remember the training camp storylines, I think that McCarthy was on pace to beat out Sam Darnold as the quarterback. And that might have been just rookie stuff. You know, you want to get your rookie out there if you can. But Sam Darnold, like I thought, he played pretty well. I think Sam Darnold is a pretty good quarterback. I think he holds on to the ball a little bit too long. The Vikings did a lot to handle the offensive line because he took, 9 sacks in that playoff game. But Sam Darnold holds on to the ball too long.
It's my quarterback.
No, not my quarterback. I think he's Seattle's problem now. But Seattle, poor Sam Darnold. He goes over to, he has JJ, he's got a plethora of weapons. He's like, okay, I'm going to go get my deal. He goes to Seattle, and then they trade DK Metcalf. Oh, man, poor guy. So he's going to go. I don't even know who his starting wide receivers are going to be over there. Oh, Mary Smith.
You like that?
We'll turn this into a prayer day. I don't care.
You like that?
We'll hit it up first. I love it. I love it. We support each other. We support each other. Faith, family, and then football. That's why I love you guys. This is almost like therapy to me. Especially after bad weeks. And I didn't have a bad week this week, but I'm just saying when you do have a bad week, come in here and talk some football. It almost makes me miss the 5-day weeks. And I will be getting back onto the 5-day a week here when we get closer to the camp. But I just did 5 days a week during the off seasons last year. It just makes the off seasons incredibly long because you're talking about the same crap all of the time. Like here I am doing a once a week program, and you know, I hit everything right there that the Vikings had done during the off season. I'm like, how many more times can you regurgitate it? You know, and how many fanboy posts can I throw up for the Lions? I feel confident in my team this year. And the window is wide open. I don't think that the coordinators are going to mean all that much. I think Ben Johnson was insulated by great talent here. I'm not saying he's not going to be a good coach. I'm not saying he's not going to be a good coach. But I'm saying that a lot of the things that Ben Johnson did here worked because we have offensive linemen and players that make the plays work. It's like a kid in a candy store. But Ben Johnson might have just went to a different candy store. They got some pretty good talent over there in Chicago, too. So he might just have a different candy store. But you need good players to make your slick plays work. That's the point on that. And Johnny Morton helped write the offense here with Dan Campbell, with Ben Johnson, with Jared Goff. So the unfamiliar part that the trolls like to tell me about, I don't hear it because it's not true. There's very much familiarity with Johnny Morton, and I think that Kelvin Shepard's going to be a better defensive coordinator than Aaron Glenn, and it has nothing to do with Aaron Glenn on why I believe that will happen. Kelvin Shepard is being promoted at the right time. Because for one, we thought we were going to lose Aaron Glenn last year, so we got to get one more year, and they've been developing Kelvin Shepard to be the defensive coordinator for 2 years now. They thought that they were going to make the move last year, but Kelvin Shepard was the next man up as it is, and he'll do better than Aaron Glenn, and not because he's better than Aaron Glenn. He'll do better than Aaron Glenn because of what I was talking about earlier in progression. Because our second-year players are becoming third-year players, and it's not just one player. I mean, you got Jack Campbell, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, all these guys that have been growing up together. They've moved up all together, and I think that was the plan. It's a very smart plan as far as building a franchise from the bottom. But I like Kelvin Shepard. That's an underrated move that the Lions did, promoting from within. I mean, you didn't take somebody from the outside. You know what you got in Kelvin Shepard. So I love where the Lions are at, but all three of the NFC North teams that we have to go against, they all got better. So I'm saving my trash talk. Because any one of these teams, I could make a case for all four of the NFC North teams to win the division. I could also make a case for all four of the NFC North teams finishing last. I mean, let that sink in, and you know that that's true. Type a Y for yes and an N for no in the comments if you agree with that statement, because it's wild like this, more than it's ever been. Sarah knows I've been on here. I've talked so much crap about the Vikings over the last few years and the Bears, and not as much about the Packers, other than the fact that we beat their ass all the time. But as far as the other teams, I didn't believe in the Vikings 2 years ago. I believed in the Vikings more last year after watching Brian Flores. My respect level went up a little bit there for the Vikings. But the Bears, I haven't had much respect for the Bears. I actually thought that Caleb Williams was going to get drafted by the Bears, and they were going to get rid of Justin Fields way before Bear fans were ready to hear that they were going to move on from Justin Fields. Rick doesn't believe me. My statement is that you could make a case, Tony. Okay, here's the statement that's getting a Y for yes or an N for no. All four of the teams in the NFC North, you could make a case that they would win the division. All four of the teams in the NFC North, you could make a case for them finishing last. So Lions can win the division again. They're the best team in the division. They were the best team in the division. They got better. They're adding Hutchinson. They're adding Aleem McNeil by the end of the season. They're adding Amik Robertson. They're adding their other starting cornerback. I mean, they had 5 of their Derek Barnes. They're adding all. They got better without even adding a player in the draft, and they won 15 games last year without those players. So I can make a case for an easy case for the Lions winning the division again. But the Lions do have a tough schedule. They're playing like 5 playoff teams on the road. They could run into some hiccups. They could end up winning, 8, 9 games if the things don't roll their way. You could lose to the Eagles. You could lose to the Packers. You can lose to the Vikings. You could lose to the Bears. Anybody in the division got those games. You could lose to the Commanders again. You're playing the Rams away. You're playing the Baltimore Ravens away. Like, you can make a case that the Lions would finish last. I don't think the Lions would finish last going like 3-13 or anything like that. But in a tough division where all the games are right around 7, 8, 9, maybe the Lions could finish last with 9 wins in this division. So there's the case both ways for the Lions. I mean, the schedule is enough to dictate the fear. If you look at that schedule and you're not scared of it, at least a little bit, it's hard. That's a hard schedule. We had a hard schedule last year too. Facing playoff teams. They did the same thing to us last year. There you go. No case for the Lions. Okay, that's fine. It may be a weak case, but that schedule is enough. With the Vikings, I mean, you can make a case for them finishing first. You could. I mean, outside of J.J. McCarthy being a brand new guy, everybody else, they got nice defense, great defensive coordinator, confusing defense. You got playmakers out the ass. So, really, in order for the Vikings to be really, really good, if J.J. McCarthy is good, the team's going to be really good. So, you can make a case that they would finish first with that. I mean, we won 14 games last year. But J.J. McCarthy could also not be good, which means they would finish last. That's it. All right, that's the end of the argument. If J.J. McCarthy isn't good, Minnesota's done. They're done. They have no chance. We know what we have with the other quarterbacks. You know they're going to win some games. But if J.J. McCarthy isn't good, he's the worst quarterback in the division because there's 3 good quarterbacks. So that's an easy last place for them. The Bears could just, they could finish first if everything works out for them again. Once again, they were the offseason champs. They got all kinds of players. So they could surprise people. Caleb Williams could take the next step. Got all these guys. They drafted Luther Burden. He turns into one of those breakout wide receivers. They already had a pretty good defense. Can make a case for them finishing first. And I'm not going to beat up Broski for that if he wanted to say that. That's a big if. There's a big if in there. But the Bears could be the Bears. The Bears do this every year. Oh, here we come. And, they could just shit the bed again like they do every year. So there's the case for them finishing last. The Bears got an easy case for that. They have things to prove. And the Packers have been solid. You can always make a case for them finishing first. And I could make a case for them finishing last, too. definitely make a case for the Packers didn't do anything in the offseason. Every other team got more better than they did. You drafted a wide receiver? Congratulations. You drafted a wide receiver. You needed a cornerback. So I can make a case for them finishing first or last. So that's what I'm saying. This division, I mean, the point of that exercise, I'm not really trying to argue with anybody about it, whether they could finish first or last. The division's tough, guys. It's a tough division. You know, all the teams keep on getting better. There's no little bitch anymore. I mean, I guess you could call the Bears a little bitch. They've been a little bitch for a while now, but it's like they're making moves. They're in the gym working out. You know, their team's starting to look like they got some guys on there that are pretty good. Yep, right there. That's the number one thing. Boom, there it is. Bears have to overcome a chemistry issue. That's something that's been there for years with them. It's the biggest reason why I think that the Bears will fail this year. It's the same reason it always is. It's never been about talent. They always bring talent in. Yeah, we got this guy and that guy. We got them. They're going to kick your ass now. Here we come. And then they don't have any chemistry. Their ownership sucks. They don't develop the players. There's always just some missing cog that just screws it up for them. Maybe this is different this year. But the chemistry's always been the biggest thing for them. Yeah. Barry says that I can see any team winning the division, but I don't see the Lions as last. I mean, maybe that's the weakest case, Barry. I'll give you that.
You like that?
The weakest case for the Lions to finish last. And the only case that I can make with the Lions finishing last is that the hard schedule gets to them. Or, the quarterback goes down or just something major. You know, like the thing is like we lost our best defensive player last year and still won 15 games. So I can't even really say that. I mean, maybe I am dumb for thinking that I could make a case for the Lions finishing last. Maybe third. I don't think they'll finish last. I think the Lions are going to win a division. I think they're going to punk the division again. I mean, as good as the other teams are in the division, I believe in my youth and my progression. So many of these guys that we have on the team, that the Lions have on the team that are going from second to third to fourth year are just, it's like, not all of them are going to turn into all pros. But, there's 8 guys that could. I don't think they'll all turn into all pros, but the chances of 3 or 4 of them turning into all pros, 3 out of 8, 3 more all pros out of 8. Brian Branch, you don't think he could be an all pro? You don't think Jack Campbell could be an all pro? You think Terrion Arnold could make a jump? You think Ennis Rakestraw could get out on the field? You don't know. You're looking for these guys. Third year player. They made some moves towards the future. Like something like Broderick Martin or Giovanni Manu. One of those. Do one of those work out? You don't know about some of these things. You could end up trying to think of some of these other players. You already got Penei Sewell. This guy's the best tackle in the game. Tony says that it's way too early, but it sounds like a chemistry with BJ and Williams already. You think they have chemistry already? I've heard that they're having a hard time communicating, but I mean, I guess it's just rookie minicamp, but it's not quite as smooth as working here in Detroit, is it, Ben? I mean, that's the difference between like a team who's bringing back its like almost its entire offense They have continuity with each other. So, but I'm coming to the end of my time. About ready to turn into a pumpkin right here. I'm just talking crap now. It's the Villain Report, the Vikings edition. We went through all of the Vikings moves in this offseason. What are your thoughts on the Vikings? 1, 2, 3, or 4. Where do you think that the Vikings are going to finish in the standings? The way too early predictions for the Vikings. First, second, third, or fourth for the Vikings with brand new quarterback J.J. McCarthy coming in. They made a lot of good offseason moves. They may be older guys, but they ain't too old yet. They may be by the end of the contract, but these guys could end up being pretty good. So what do you think in there? This is the Lion Villain Report. Thank you to the Detroit Lions News Podcast. Thank you to the Huddle Sports Network on Roku with Bill the Packer fan, Mike the Bear fan. Broski's on there too with Robert Bertana right there. I am the Villain at 313 Villain. You can catch me each and every Saturday morning, sometimes with Johnny Gaz at 10 a.m. And that's going to be the end of my time right here. I appreciate y'all. It's faith, family, and then football in that order. We use football, create memories. We don't let football use us. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you until we meet again in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you guys. This is Russell Wayne. I'm signing off. Peace out.